Hello, 'tis I, Bulldog. Welcome to the experience. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I trust that not only is your cup and bowl full, because mine is, and this week, this week, ah, where to begin? First things first, I suppose. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Build the channel. I know many people with many interesting stories that I'd like to share and discuss and talk about cool things. And this week, this week is it ever a kicker? I have from Newfoundland a very good friend of mine. He's also a professional wrestler out there. Professional, not even in quotations, really. He's been doing it for many years. And so I got him on the podcast and we decided to sit down and discuss for many an hour and a bit the wonders of Newfoundland wrestling. So, I guess on that note, one more thing. Please, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, like, share, and subscribe. Get the word out. Sometimes I do a just off the cuff thing that'll be like something's bothering me. I'll do a little blip about that. But mostly it's just I interview people because I think it's cool. There's lots of interesting people out there in the world, and lots of interesting people deserve to have some time to them share their experiences. So, on that note, Bulldog, Don, take it away.
All right. My next guest is Don Martini, but that really doesn't do him justice. So I guess I should just say, how would you describe yourself, my dear friend?
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the one, the only, the liquor, the Magnus, the Don of Dons, the Master Don, the Dirty Don Martini! And I am proud to bring to you, Brandon, what am I bringing to you? What are we doing today?
We are going to sit down and, talk about wrestling.
Oh, good. Thank God I knew that.
And
I was really talking
wrestling.
about something I don't know about.
You and wrestling together, and where you are and all that. And basically, I guess we should just start at the very beginning. How did this all begin? Where was the first spark to get into the old squared circle, the octagon,
I was always a wrestling fan as a kid. I mean, I grew up as a wrestling fan, but it's before I ever got involved myself in wrestling, I was in boxing, so I was always physically fit. I did that for a couple of years. I got close to I did a qualifier for the Canada Games, but I lost. I never had a fighting instinct, but I was always into like theater arts and performing, so I had the physicality and the theatrics, and it always kind of like just melded perfectly together. And by the time it was around midway through the year of 1999, we're going back now. So I had a video that was given to me by my uncle, and it was from local wrestling, and it was from the old ASWA days of Sailor White. And there was some Newfoundland, other local wrestling promotion that happened, but he gave me a VHS tape of some local wrestlers. And I'll never forget watching that tape at my grandparents' house. And I took it back home afterwards, and I watched it several times. And it's nothing like what you see on TV. I mean, like at the time, we're looking at Newfoundland wrestling over 20 years ago. The quality of caliber was not there. You're not looking at, most people don't look like athletes. Most people weren't trained the best way for being ground technicians. But I mean, there was still something there. There's still something to the theatrics that just drew me in. And I had a friend that did the sound for a couple of shows. The first show I ever saw was at the Mun Amphitheater. So when I went to the Mun Amphitheater, I stayed in the dry area upstairs, and I watched the show, and I went downstairs afterwards, and I talked to the promoters. And I said, if there's anything I can do to help out or just lift the ring, or I'll do whatever you want. You need a merchandise guy, you need a ring announcer, you need a referee. Promotions always need a fucking referee. So I can curse on this, right? Can't I?
Yeah, fuck yeah, do it.
Oh, fuck, thank God.
No, don't worry.
Right.
This is not for kids. I'm drinking. I'm currently drinking old style Pilsner, not a sponsor, just what's happened to be in my cup. I'll
I have
probably
sangria in a boot, so I'm with you. Thank God.
in a
Thank God.
boot.
All right, so
It's a boot
yeah,
time.
so I did the first show at MUN, and the very next one.
That
Oh, go ahead.
sorry for people who are wondering. MUN is Memorial University of Newfoundland.
Yeah, so,
The university where you are based out of St. John's, Newfoundland.
yeah.
To be
It's based out of
precise,
St. John's,
yes.
but I've wrestled all over Newfoundland. I've left the province only once for wrestling, but I'll maybe touch on that down the road. But I'll focus on just the start right now. So
Exactly.
I went to the MUN show. A month later, I was at a show around the Goulds, around the southern shore of Newfoundland, and I worked I worked I believe the ring announce table. But I basically kind of started off there and just kind of lifting the ring and doing what I could to help out. I was only a kid. I was 15 years old. I lied about my age. I said I was 17. They were willing to train 17-year-olds, basically kids at that point. But I lied about my age and said I'd do whatever I could to get in the ring and bump around, and I'd do whatever I could to slug the ring and basically help out. And they went along with it. Anyway, I did it for a couple of years. Finally, by the time they found out that what my real age was, I already had a couple of performances. I already gotten a bunch of training. I was thrown into a Royal Rumble by that point, just kind of like, we taught you how to bump. We taught you how to go over the top rope. For one point, one of the guys gave you a chair shot for no reason, just because he didn't like your face. So guess what? You know enough to go into the Rumble, get punched in the face, and tossed over the top rope. So there you go. And I did a Rumble. I did that. I went in, I got punched in the face, and I got tossed over the top rope. And the next show, they were like, all right, well, I guess screw it. You've learned enough. Let's see how it goes. They kind of trial by fire. But this is kind of the way that Newfoundland Wrestling worked at the time. There wasn't enough experience. Like there was people that were trained, but the people that were training new people weren't experienced enough to train. So I feel the first couple of years that I really got my start in Newfoundland Wrestling, I didn't have the experience or the knowledge to do what I should be doing. When I really look at what I became, the first time I looked at myself as a true wrestler, the first time I actually, not even that, I'll go before that. I'll look at the first time that I think somebody ever truly taught me what it was to understand psychology of what being a wrestler was when Vance Nevada, he's one of the main wrestlers for ECCW up in Edmonton. He was an NWA affiliate back in the day, but himself and Chris Paris and Chad Tatum came in. I did a seminar with Vance Nevada, and at no point did he do any bumping or any ring work or anything with us, but he sat a bunch of us down and we just talked about the idea of psychology. And there's a couple of things that he said to me that has always stuck with me through the years. And it's once you learn to bump, once you learn the psychology of basically how to control a match, you control your movements and the person you're wrestling's movements. And not just control that, but also understand to anticipate their movements as well. But one of the lines that he said, which always stuck with me years later, was that I could be walking down the grocery store, the frozen food aisle in the grocery store, and there could be a door open and I'll slip on a patch of ice. And the second I start to slip, I'm going to take that bump. I'm going to go back with it because I know how to bump. The second I feel that fall, I'm committed to that bump, and I'm not going to hurt myself because I know how to fall. And the idea of that self-assurance and that knowledge, I have been shown how to bump. I've been shown how to run the ropes. I've been shown chain, but I never really understand certain levels of psychology until someone that really had that level of experience, a true master of the craft, actually kind of spoke to me about it. Not even showed me physically, but spoke to me about it. And that was one of the things that has always stood out in my mind. For all the people that showed me how to do the basics, Vance Nevada, I feel, was someone that actually showed me mentality. And that's one of the biggest things that people need to learn about wrestling.
Well, absolutely. Previous guests that I've had on here are Fight Masters, Fight Directors of Canada, FDC, which is somewhat similar. I mean, like not exactly live what you do wrestling, but like.
Well, I believe we're actually, I'm with New Evolution Wrestling currently. I believe we're actually on the Fight Network.
The FDC, Fight Directors of Canada,
FITE, the Fight Network, the TV.
Oh
channel?
no, FDC.
Oh no, okay.
FDC. Okay. Sorry,
I'm on a different TV station. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. But we're not dealing with television. It's a group of FDC is a bunch of people who are fight masters and students of practitioners of fight combat, acting wise. So I totally understand when you say like as soon as you fall back, okay, yeah, boom, you call it a bump, we call it break falling, same thing exactly. But you get once you've done it, like it becomes second nature. It almost becomes breathing, and it's neat to see that not only is it the physicality that you've learned, but also a little bit of the philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
Right, which is really, really important to as well. So
And that's one of those simplistic things of kind of a first year knowledge of someone that wants to get involved in wrestling. Once they like, how do I get my start? It's come in for training and learn to do those bumps, learn to hit those ropes, bruise up the back of your back, or lose up those the sides of your back to hit those ropes and that kind of stuff, and do it. And so to the point that you don't feel it. But not just that, but to get into a match and do something with somebody where, I mean, we all know what wrestling is. It's it's days of our lives, but for stuntmen, it's really all it is.
really,
It's
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, but the idea of getting into a match, you have to know that I can throw 10 punches at you, and 9 out of 10 are going to graze that jaw. You're going to sell those 9 punches.
Yeah.
One of those punches, you might be selling the turn, and you come back so hard, and my punch is coming in, and we missed the graze spot. I might get you right in the fucking jugular, and you need to be able to stop and go, ooh, got me. And you still sell that one, but not look back and go, I'm going to act irrationally. You've got to be able to control yourself and control your emotions to know if something like that happens, that you can't have irrational people. That's when people get hurt. You start looking at like, I want vengeance out of this, out of spite. That's childish. That's childish. This is a business. We all have families and jobs, real jobs to go to afterwards. You know, most people that do wrestling aren't paying the rent off of this.
Oh, absolutely. You're for every Dwayne Rock Johnson, there's a million jobbers out there doing the thing that's you're only making enough to like.
And for every 10 wrestlers that are out doing it, 1 out of those 10 want to be fucking Dwayne Johnson, the fucking actor. Want to be Dwayne the Tooth Fairy Johnson, not Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
take Tooth Fairy money over fucking wrestling money any day.
Oh, of
Any
course,
day.
of course, absolutely.
I'm great
I
at being funny. My back and knees hurt. I
I
don't want
wanna-
to do this forever.
I want to get hit in the face of the chair another 20 times, please. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell 10 one-liners. See how this plays out.
Oh God. So that's your start. So you've been like, by the sounds of it, you're fairly immersed into the wrestling there in Newfoundland. Like it seems that like how many there must not be that many guest stables, like, you know what I mean, or what is promotions, that's the word.
Yeah.
There's not too many promotions.
Only one active promotion wrestling in Newfoundland right now. It's New Evolution Wrestling.
All right. Well,
so I did about 2 years off recently. COVID did a lot of damage to the entertainment industry. Obviously,
for everybody,
a lot into wrestling. So there was a lot of drift apart. There was a little bit of an off and on between myself and the promoter as well about how things kind of played out near the end. There was some weird internal trauma that's not really appropriate for talking about publicly. But either way you go, that kind of got sussed out. I came back about a month or so ago. They did a show at the Kitty Bitty Brewery in St. John's. So it's a smaller brewery, less than, like no Molson or no Canadian or nothing like that. But it's as far as Newfoundland goes. This is actually one of the, I love doing bar shows, because here's the thing. I'm a boisterous motherfucker. I love to tell stories. I love to drink. I love to go off on a tail. And here's the thing. It's wrestling. So you go to an all ages show like we did with the CLB Armory coming up on September 10th. And, kids will buy your t-shirts. Kids will buy your 8x10s and they want your signature. Adults don't want my fucking signature, but they want to buy around with me. They want to sit down. They'll shoot the shit. So I bring in money as far as the show goes for bar shows. Fucking 10-year-olds don't give a shit about me. I'm not funny to 10-year-olds. I got to reel myself in for 10-year-olds. I'm not funny. Oh, damn, Martini, can you get some? Nobody gives a fucking shit. There's some guy that's clapping hands and he's doing fan favorite bullshit. I mean, like, I'm still a good guy, but the good guy I am is more kind of cynical. And even that, I mean, like, I think there's a certain level of anti-hero. It's a crossover between movies and comic books and wrestling, and it crosses over into the 90s. So you got to look at the idea of, say, like, you've got Punisher and Venom in comic books. You've got, say, Steve Austin in wrestling. There's always that, everyone, like Steve Austin, everyone wants to kick their fucking boss in the stomach and give him a finisher. Everyone wants to tell someone to go fuck themselves because I want to do what I want. And that'll always get over. And that's gotten more over as time has gone on. That's a totally different dynamic on the wrestling industry from the 90s to where we are now. Because before that, I mean, and even still, I mean, you got a certain level of purists that'll always look at the idea of wrestling is going to be high fives and I'm the good guy and eat your vitamins and say your prayers and fucking suck Hulk Hogan's dick. And there's always going to be the bad guy that basically, like, I always think the best bad guy is someone that thinks they're doing it for the right reason. And I've used this mic spot, and it's got me over as a face and a heel every single time. It's turned me into a heel, and it's gotten me out of being a heel whenever I need to sell merchandise. I'll never forget, it was like a 3rd or 4th grade teacher that told me this story. And she said there was a story about it's a knight. There's a knight's got to go off, and the Black Knight has been causing drama all throughout the land. He's got to go off. And you got to take care of the Black Knight because you got to save the good of the people, the Commonwealth. And he goes off and he's wearing his white shining armor, and he goes off and he goes to chase down the Black Knight. And as time goes on, he's always he's one town behind the Black Knight. And every single time he gets to a new town, he's running out of money, he's running out of gold, whatever the fuck they're buying. I don't know, it's a fucking story. Who gives a shit what they're paying with?
Shillings, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Fucking shillings. Fucking
shillings.
I don't give a shit what they're buying with. Fingernails. So anyway, so the idea is that he keeps going on, and as time goes on, he's always behind the Black Knight. Now he's running out of money. He's running out of food. He's got nothing left. Oh, wait. Oh, watch this. I just got 10,000 steps. I'm drinking and talking to you. I haven't taken a step in like 10 minutes. Fucking Fitbit doesn't know shit about dick. So I'm not getting sponsored by Fitbit. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right. White Knights. So White Knight is going around, and basically, like I said, he's got no money, he's got no food left. He goes to the next town. Now he gets to a farm. He's got to steal a chicken or two. He's got to kill somebody else's chicken. He takes their livelihood from him. And after a while, he's going through these towns. He's getting so few and far and so behind under his debts that shining white, that beautiful armor he went out with, suddenly has a bunch of dings. And he's sleeping in the dirt. He's got nowhere else to stay, and he's doing whatever he can to survive. And all of a sudden, that shiny armor doesn't seem so shiny anymore, until after a while, he's been going through so many years, and a new kid walks up to him wearing shiny armor and says, "You're the knight that we're chasing down. You're the knight that's been stealing our chickens and stealing our money and doing what they can to survive. Because in somebody else's story, you're the bad guy. But I was just doing what I thought was right. This has gotten me, it's made me a good guy, and it's made me a bad guy." And you know what?
Really cool.
People always fucking, it's foibles. People always fucking believe that shit. But this is it. It's the simplicity. The best bad guys think they're doing it for the right reason.
No, absolutely. And that's the nice thing that I've been finding about modern cinema a bit. There's a lot wrong, but there's a lot right with it. Is that you don't just get the Kurgan walking out and being like, one thing's for sure, better to burn out than fade away. You know what I mean? Like, I'll talk to the Kurgan every fucking day. Oh, I'm just saying, like, I'm an evil son of a bitch, and who gives a goddamn, right? But it's more interesting to find out that you're a Thanos, right? Like this moment of being like, oh wow, that like all of a sudden you're going like, well, he's got a point. So I guess in that regard, do you find that, like, because you mentioned the face, the heel, have you noticed that that sort of that dynamic's gone, or has it shifted into a new? Is it less black and white and more sort of like I guess
shades of gray?
There's the shades of gray, yeah.
I think there's a crossover of both. I think the industry needs good guys that are take your prayers and eat your medicine, and just nonsense, just bullshit. There needs to be faces. There need to be somebody that children can look at and cheer for. There need to be heels that fuck this town and fuck all of you, but without the fucks, without the cusses and whatever. But basically just bad guy because I'm a bad guy. I just need to get over on just the simplicity of it. But the idea there is a certain crossover of people that kind of everyone wants to be the NWO. Everyone wants to come in like they're a bad guy, but do cool stuff and get cheered for it. You're not really a bad guy, are you?
Well,
I also think there's a place for, and here's the thing. I think there's a difference in where we are now in current wrestling. Like, and this is I'm talking out of my ass because I'll be honest, I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched. I watch the WrestleMania and I watch the Royal Rumble at a buddy's place. And I do it because there's a bit of a drinking kind of thing going on over there. And I don't really give a shit. I don't watch TV. I'll deviate from the previous question to this right away. One of the main reasons why I don't watch wrestling is I'm sick of going to a wrestling show and I'm going to wrestle some new kid and they go, all right, so I saw Kevin Owens do this. So we're going to do a pop-up power bomb and you're going to kick out. We're going to jump into this. I don't want to do anything that the audience has seen somebody else do this week. Because we go into the ring and we do exactly like that. They would go, oh, I saw Kevin Owens do that on Thursday night.
Where he popped out and powerbomb kick out.
Screw that, man. If you're going to rip off somebody, you go back to WrestleMania 3. You go back to the old school days. I want to have Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon. And I want to have fucking spot number 47. I want to like arm ringer, double ringer, hand behind the head, flip over it, knee drop. I did that once, and one guy, if I'm going to rip off anybody, it's going to be Ric Flair. But I ripped off Ric Flair from Steamboat. So I ripped off the Ric Flair spot, and I dropped the knee, and I held the arm. And as soon as I did it, one guy in the audience just stopped and yelled, WrestleMania 3. I was like, fuck you, God! Good for you. Well done. I'm glad somebody appreciates it. Like, fuck. We can't all be
saw
Kevin
that
Owens.
before.
The fat guy that does stunners. I want to be Kevin Owens too, but
oh, that's brilliant. That's hilarious. So as you were saying, there's only one promotion. How many promotions were there in Newfoundland? If you could, let's test the old brain here.
So when Newfoundland Wrestling started off, I'm going ahead of my days. When Sailor White was on the go, it was ASWA, All-Star Wrestling Association in Newfoundland. That was all training by Sailor White. It deviated from that and turned into, I believe there was NCW, Newfoundland Championship Wrestling. And then from there, basically, a lot of the, there was kind of like, anyway, there's some deviants from ASWA that weren't doing too well with the training or whatever, basically were kind of shit, went over and did their more of a hardcore type thing. Switched over into cutting edge wrestling, which is what I started with in the summer of 1999. The early days, CEW really started out of the, God damn it, what's the name of that goddamn bar? It's now a strip club. It was, it used to be a strip club, and before that, it was a church. So Newfoundland is just
Cotton Club.
Don't worry.
Cotton Club.
Cotton Club, yeah.
I worked there.
The first time I ever took a bump or broke down the wrestling ring was actually out of that bar.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it went from there. So I was with CEW from the summer of 2000 right up until about 2003, 2004. That was when CEW and NCW started to join together. But a lot of the guys from NCW I didn't trust. I didn't think they were well trained. It was mostly just people throwing chairs at each other and just bumping on thumbtacks. And that was fine when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing the first year. You want to be here? Cool, go out and someone will hit you with the chair in the face. I don't want to do that. I want to be a goddamn wrestler. I want to know what I'm doing and be respected for what I'm doing. And the second that they did the crossover, they were like, yep, so we're going to merge together and you can wrestle one of their guys for the title that I held. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I said, put me on the opening match of the first show that we're going to do and take the title off me. I'm going to walk away. And that's what I did. And I went over and I joined a new promotion, which was Atomic Championship Wrestling at Club Atomic, which was the first time where I really started to understand psychology a bit more and really kind of know more about the business and how to control a match and kind of appreciate and really learn. But one of my favorite parts was just how much weird ego and kind of what came out of this promotion, because it was set up where the guy that owned Club Atomic owned Greensleeves. These are all local bars on George Street. And the idea was that because we were Club Atomic, we were Atomic wrestlers, we had certain privileges that we could get away with. So on a weekend, if I want to go down with me and my buddies and a couple of chicks or whatever, we walk up to the front door of Club Atomic. I walk up to the fucking 7-foot bouncer. I put a finger in his face and go, hey, I'm a fucking megastar. And he goes, oh, right this way, sir. No cover. And me and my friends get in. But that was the code word that was given to all the staff at Dude's Bars. You put a finger in someone's face and call yourself a megastar. Oh, right this way, my good sir. I was like, I'm fucking 19 years old putting a face in grown man's face. Like, that's not a fucking, that's not a healthy way to grow up. Not a real way.
Some giant dude who'd like eat you and just like, oh yeah, but he's played it, didn't he? He
went right along with
hit the mark.
Oh, right this way, my good sir. He's just jerking off my ego, but and that was a fun couple of years. I mean, that went on. That promotion kind of started to fall apart. Some of the guys behind the scenes that were not just wrestlers, but also people that were kind of working on the back end of the industry as well, kind of stepped in to take over buy the ring and take over the promotion. And it became PWA, Provincial Wrestling Alliance. I did that for, I didn't want to do Provincial Wrestling Alliance because they started off as some of the kids they brought in started off as like a backyard promotion. but they were also kind of like being trained by like some old local wrestlers as well on the side that were friends of theirs. But I looked at it and all I heard was people that kind of wanted to do their own backyard thing because they wanted to be wrestlers. And I kind of basically just snubbed it off. And one of the guys came to me that was running, helping run EWE at the end of the days. And he was like, tell you what, you come in before the shows and you don't got to wrestle. We'll pay you in a 26er a whiskey. You can come in and you just show the kids, you show the new kids how to do chain. You just show them some psychology. You just show them the basics, how to get a character over. And I was like, I don't got to do anything. I don't got to take any bumps. I just got to direct traffic and just teach the new blood. He was like, yep. I was like, all right, cool. So I did that for 3 shows. And then I was like, fuck it. Maybe for 3 shows, there's 2 or 3 of those kids I wouldn't mind wrestling with. They're actually picking this up really quick. And that's what it was. There was 2 or 3 kids that I was like, fuck this. All right, I'm back. All right, I'm back. Screw it. PWA became Republic Pro Wrestling after that because it became the same. One of the owners dropped out. So the other owner brought in somebody else and it became, from PWA, it became Republic Pro Wrestling. And once it became Republic Pro Wrestling, I got really committed. And this is one of the heights of when I left off wrestling for a while in the early aughts, at the end of the aughts, around 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. I was the RPW Wrestler of the Year, Newfoundland Wrestler of the Year for 2008. I held the heavyweight title and the intermediary title, both at the same time. And I merged both those titles. And it was some of the most fun I ever had. I was wrestling 3 times a show, or I wrestled 2 or 3 times a show, or twice a show most often, and do a mic spot as well. But it's really just kind of like bringing the entire show together. Most of it might be because I have a stable or a faction or something going on, but it's just kind of bringing that my own charisma and my own experience and giving it to not just me, but the people that are around me and new blood that I can settle with me. Because it's I can only go for so many years. The real lifeblood of the industry is having people that love what they do and love wrestling just as much as I did, but they're 10 years younger than me. And all you ever really want is someone that's 10 years younger than you that's going to take the same inspiration, the same motivation that I had, and they'll run with it when I can't stand up and I can't jump off the top rope anymore.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So that's and you're now with the.
I'm now with New Evolution Wrestling. Well, I ended up there. So I ended there around 2009 was when RPW ended up. I did about a year off. There was another promotion, Legends City Wrestling, that I never wrestled with. I did their very last show actually. They had 3 owners, one of which I didn't really get along with. And it's just, I never want drama. I want to do what I do because I like it, because I'm getting paid, and it's just
drama's on the stage, not in the back.
Exactly. I'm never nothing but love and respect. And the end of the day, let's be honest, I want to get paid too. So let's look at what is it? You guys get a problem? Fuck you, pay me. Paying's not there? Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So anyway, so I did the very last show for LCW, so I never did much with them. I never got a chance to really wrestle with some of their best people. But I did a little bit of time, the very last show, and then it was about 3 months later, I kind of came back after that one last performance. They drove me out to somewhere around central Newfoundland. They were like, all we need you to do, we're just out of buys. We need someone to show up and go through basically be like ring general, set the ring up, tear it down, go through a Royal Rumble, kind of direct traffic about who should be going in and where and when. And you can basically go in and do what you want. You don't got to wrestle a match. You just got to do a fucking Royal Rumble and just come out early and you direct traffic. And we help set up and you help tear down. They were like, all right, we're going to feed you. We're going to give you a pizza. We're going to give you all the beer you can drink. And we're going to pay you $100. I was like, yep. All right, cool. I'm there. Yes. I'm sold. I'm very easy to buy when it comes to booze and pizza and money.
Pizza, and money, all 3. Have a good time.
Exactly. So I only did 1 show with LCW, but it was a good PO. Anyway, a few months went by, and CEW shut down while I was wrestling with EWE back in the Atomic days. So around 2005 or 2006, CEW shut down. So I kept wrestling with other promotions, but around 2011, the original owner of CEW and one of the earlier wrestlers, the original owner was Gord Glenn, was Vince Austin was the name he went by. I always thought it was just a ribbed name of basically like he's half wrestler, half owner. So he went Vince McMahon, fucking Steve Austin, Vince Austin. I still think that's what it is. So I'm not going to say anything other because I think it's just a ripoff. But one of the other guys was Dan. He was Bad Boy Batty Bat. He was one of the other owners that took it over in 2011. And one of the third owner was Tony King. And he joined in when one of my the earlier days in the CW days and the EWE days. he started training around then. So, and these are all close people. These are all people that are really close to me for different reasons. But they kind of started off with CEW again, and I jumped in. But at the time, I didn't really know Dan. He was the bad boy Betty Bat character in the early CEW days, but I never really knew who he was. He's really similar to us. He's done Film Actors Guild up in Toronto and stuff, and he's been a director in a lot of films. And we've been working on a script together. So there's a lot of film industry crossover between wrestlers and movie folk.
Of course. Well, that's really how you and I met.
Exactly.
We were both security or bouncers doing
bouncers at what was the name? Fuck or Fight. Yeah.
Fight. And we just like.
Have you ever watched that afterwards?
I did.
You did?
I did. And I'm like, there I am. There he is.
Those were good days.
That was fun.
So what happened with the early CEW days, like I said, so I started off the first couple of shows, we were wrestling at the Majestic Theater. And I really love the idea because the first show happened and Dan had no idea who it was. He was the booker. He's really good at storylines. He writes some scripts for some short films and stuff that he's done. So he kind of like, when he started, he didn't really know who I was. When he did a promo, the idea was that Newfoundland Wrestling has never been advertised well. No one's ever really taken the ball and run with it. So the idea we had was, let's reach out to the media. Let's reach out to local news and say, CEW is going to have a press conference. And we're going to do it at the Majestic Theater, the venue where we're going to do the show. And we're going to bring in basically like news folk to kind of like just interview us about what's going to happen. So somehow we had a couple of connections where 2 or 3 news media outlets actually showed up. But we didn't have enough. So I had a friend of mine, my roommate Bill at the time, showed up with basically like the old kind of like black cap with the piece of it. But he just had a piece of paper he wrote press on and stuck it in the side of his So it was just horse shit, but it's just tricking the media into basically like there's an event in the city. And somehow it got some traction. And it went over pretty well. And I did my introduction. They were like, all right, we're going to saddle you with, we got a lackey we're going to give you. And you've got a female valet and she looks hot. And you're basically going to be a cool guy that's got a lackey and a valet. And you go out and do my one-liners. And I can do my giant rants that usually get over really well. And I was like, cool, whatever you need. And we finish out the interview program. And all the news outlets leave. And we're getting ready to do promos. And they basically asked you, do you want to do a banner? Do you want to do just like a small banner to advertise the show? I was like, I suppose I haven't really done any kind of advertising for wrestling in almost like 2 years now. I mean, I didn't do anything for LCW. I just showed up and did it. I haven't done anything before that since RPW. So it's been 2 years since I really kind of went off on a rant. And I stopped and said, so what's the date we're doing the show? And they were like, all right, this date. Where am I right now? We're at the Majestic Theater. Who am I wrestling again? This is who you're wrestling. I was like, all right, give me 10 seconds. And red light goes on and it's talking crusty all over. Just pull the string, and I just went right into my rant. And you can find that rant if you want to. You can find it on YouTube right there. It's under Cutting Edge Wrestling in my profile. So if you want to edit it at some point just for shits or at the end, it's actually there. But it's not bad. All you need to give me is the basic information, and I can just fucking run with it. And that's something that I've always had. And so CEW happened with that for a couple of years. It went really well. We had some good names in. I've gotten to wrestle with the likes of Tommy Dreamer. I didn't actually, we had Sabu and I didn't get it right. I'll tell you a side story about Sabu afterwards. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go right in. Do you want horror stories of wrestling?
Sure. Let's hit it.
All right,
let me hear some
stories.
Let's hear some like moments.
So we had Sabu come in for a wrestling show. And the idea was when we're getting ready for him to come in, he gets stopped at the airport when he gets into Newfoundland. And they stop him because he doesn't have a prescription for his Percocet that he's got in his bag. So because Sabu's just basically just got like a Ziploc bag, like a loose baggie just full of Percocet that he shows up into fucking Canada with in the States. And they're like, no, you can't. Anyway, so we had to go through a bunch of fight with customs to basically say he could even come into the province. They were able to keep it. They said they wouldn't give him his prescriptions, but we'd take care of it. We just get him in. So we get him through the fucking customs of Canada. And the second that we get in, the promoter calls me. He's like, we're setting the ring up at the venue the night before the show. He's like, all right, Sabu is here, but Sabu says he's not going to wrestle unless he's got 3 perks a day. So do you know anybody we can call to get Percocet right now? Because if not, Sabu's not going to wrestle. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, you can't just do weed like a fucking adult? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how the fuck do we... All right, I'll call my uncle, I guess. I'll see if we can figure this out. He's missing a leg. We'll see if he's got anything to spare. So anyway, a couple of calls go by. I couldn't arrange anything, but one of the guys could help Sabu get Percocet. So
on
it was actually,
Facebook.
oh yeah, so it wasn't the day before the show. So it was the day before, and it was Thanksgiving weekend. So the next day was Thanksgiving, and the day after that we had 2 shows. We're gonna do one in St. John's and one around the Southern Shore again. So the second date that we're in is a holiday. People are off, so we got Sabu in. So Sabu goes to one of the wrestlers' house, and they fucking start to chain smoking joints. And that's because Sabu just wants to get fucking stoned. He just wants to get super baked. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, all right. So I'm doing my own family thing. And I come home after the family gathering or in the family cabin. I come back into St. John's. I get a phone call from the promoter. It's like, all right, we left one of the guys' places. Sabu smoked him out. He's got no weed left. Can you come to my house and hang out with Sabu and smoke weed with him? I was like, fuck yeah, I can come to Sabu's house. I can come to your house and smoke weed with Sabu.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely, I can. So I fucking I pick up some weed and I go to Buddy's house, and we get there. When we first get there, the promoter introduced me. Oh, this is Don Martini. He's one of our wrestlers. He's one of our big guys. You might be working with him, you might not. We'll see how it all goes, but he's one of the boys. And I look over Sabu and I go to give him the handshake, and he just looks at me. And he just looks down again. He won't even look me in the eyes. So I was like, all right, cool. Fucking Sabu don't give a shit. Well, fuck it. It is what it is. He doesn't know me. I don't fucking, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't need his fucking approval. So that's perfectly fine. So we sit down and it's kind of like just back and forth, just talking about the wrestling show that's coming up. And from my jacket pocket, I pull out the big baggie of weed I showed up with. I start busting up joints and start rolling. As soon as I start rolling, Sabu looks over and realizes I'm the guy with the weed. And he pulls me in close and puts an arm. Man, let me tell you, I was backstage at ECW and the Dudleys were looking at me and I was looking at Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman was saying this. I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool because I got drugs now. You're like, great, it's fantastic, Sabu.
Because I'm the drug man.
now we're fucking best friends because I'm the guy that got weed. So I rolled with a bunch of joints and we got absolutely fucking chong, but. So the promoter's house, we were at is in his basement just watching TV. You ever watched the TV show? Was it Drugs Inc? It basically talks about like drug dealers wearing masks, usually about how the industry works, how they sell drugs and stuff. So there's one episode of Drugs Inc. and this black guy, and he's wearing a ski mask, a balaclava, and he's got the dining room table. He goes, this is my table. This is my pile of cocaine. This is my money. And this is this. And this is what I cut it with. And this is what I cut it with here. And Sabu just stops and he's just so charmed, like he can't even see, like his eyes are closed and he's looking at me, but he kind of just throws the hand at me. He's like, hey, man, that guy on TV, that guy is fucking black. I'm like, Sabu's fucking racist. Like, what is like, no, Sheik's my uncle. I can't be racist. I'm like, what the fucking, doesn't matter. What are you talking about? This racist shit, man. I was like, all right, I'm stoned, but I'm not stoning up for this shit. So
that man there is black.
So, yeah, that guy cutting up drugs in a balaclava in fucking Vegas is black. I was like, man, I don't fucking, all right. I think I'm gonna go home.
Look at the time.
Anyway, so I'll finish off the story. So the next day, we're getting ready for the first show. We wrestled at the Easter Seals. So Easter Seals venue is a venue for disabled kids. So basically, they handle like a lot of like disabled kids that want to go to play sports or kind of like just have an after school program they go to. This is the venue they go to. And this was the greatest crossover for us as wrestlers, wrestling promotion, and wanting to support the community and the outreach and that kind of stuff. This was great for us. So this was perfect. But this is the same fucking, the very next night was the person we brought in with us was Sabu. So we're setting up, we're getting ready for the first show, and Sabu's going to wrestle one of the other guys. And I'm going out and we're, with the backstage for a wrestling show is never big. We're in a broom closet or a bathroom or a hallway or a staircase. Like, it's nothing. It's 15 guys that are just standing on each other's fucking underwear for 2 hours trying to go out and bump ourselves out of our lives. Anyway, so there was one point I was getting ready to go towards one of the bathrooms. So the disabled bathrooms are always so much bigger. So I was going to like, if nobody's around, the venue's closed, there's no disabled kids, so I'm going to go to the disabled bathroom. So I go over and I go to open the door for the disabled bathroom. It's not locked. Not locked at all. Go to swing the door open. And when I do, Sabu is leaned over the disabled shitter and he's busted up a bunch of Percocets doing rips off the background of the toilet. And I'm like, we're at the fucking venue, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, save that shit for the bar or when you go home. Like, you're on the disabled shitter ripping perks. Like, holy fuck, man. Like, we had to keep wrestling here. This is what we do. You're going to take this away from us. holy fuck. So he just laughed. He was like, man, lock the door. Lock the door. I'm like, I can't lock it from the outside. And close it and left. Fucking, oh man. Like, yeah.
Holy shit. Who else have you met? Have you met any big guys? Like,
we had the next one after that was when, all right, so CEW after that changed ownership. The owners didn't want to wrestle anymore. And they basically said they were debating selling the ring back to the previous owners of LCW. And I said I wanted nothing to do with that. I wanted to, like, if we're going to keep, like, I really enjoyed it. I thought that the last run of CW from 2011 to 2014, 15 was the height of my experience, of the best I've ever been in wrestling. I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to keep with it. And the idea of losing that meant so much to me that when they said they were going to sell the ring, I worked out an arrangement that I would take on the roles of owning the ring, of running the promotion. So the first thing I tried to do was I said we'd run a tour, basically not a tour, but basically like build up advertising like no other wrestling promotion had really done to build up the next return of CEW. And the idea was that when CEW first came back in 2011, we had the bad guy owner. This is our Vince McMahon. He's, he's got his like, entitled son and his lackeys and his hot daughter and all that type of stuff. And basically he's got a monster champion that he kind of like, you can't be beaten. And that's kind of where I came in as the underdog, always trying to basically feud against the guy that's way bigger than me, fight against the odds that is the owner that's got money and all this power, that kind of stuff. Like, so the idea that when the owner finally got what he wanted, the last show that they finished off with, and I basically took it over, I was like, well, we've got to run at different angles, because if I'm going to run the promotion, I'm going to actually run on the back end. We should do it like it's an anarchy promotion. So the way we did it was we did a promo where the ring was being stored in my garage, in my house where I am right now. And the idea was we do a promo where the old general manager would show up and toss me his car keys, and we treat it like it was the keys to the locker, basically to the garage or to the area where the ring was being stored. And I would get a hold of CEW again. And I would be taking on the idea of this anarchy level of like just taking over the promotion, and now it's mine. And we do every week, we do a new video of me meeting up with somebody, whether it's around the world or new wrestlers that I'd be bringing into this tour. It's going to be this new, basically like the new comeback match is going to be this big tournament to find the new North Atlantic champion. Yeah, the entire time going through with it all, like it was fun. It was a lot of acting. It was a lot of kind of character building and getting the people like who's going to stick around with the promotion, who we're going to bring in. But the big name that we thought we'd do, we're going to bring in Devon Dudley. The other Dudley has basically just gone back to WWF at the point for one of the Royal Rumbles, so we still had Devon. So we've got Devon brought in. The idea was that we're going to bring in Devon for the match, and this is my first show, me taking over. All the money's on me to taking over, putting like the advertising, basically like the airfare, the accommodations, just like the money, just making sure everyone. Because here's the thing about wrestling, everyone needs to get paid. If I'm putting money into the show and my show doesn't do well, wrestlers still get paid. That's not how it works. Just because I fail as an owner, I fail as a promoter, doesn't mean they don't get paid for their work. And that's the way I've always looked at a promoter paying me, and that's the way I'm always going to look at someone that I'm going to pay. I never want to fucking pay anybody because I don't want to run promotions, but there was a certain level of, there's love. There's love in it of doing what I do. But anyway, absolutely. We get to the show. So we get right the day before the show, and Devon's getting to fly in. He gets on one flight. He gets stopped at the customs coming into Canada, and customs stops him and says, "I have a valid passport." So they say, Devon doesn't have a valid passport. We got to send you home. You can't come into Canada.
What?
So Devon Dudley starts calling me. He says, "Man, I've never had this happen before. Big promotions always just take care of my shit. and my passport's expired. This has never happened to me before. I can't come in. I'm not going to be there tomorrow for the show. So I'm not going to be there." I'm like, "Well, man, like, what the fuck do you mean you're not going to be here for the show? Get in a fucking car and drive. Like, do something. Like, you're killing me, man. Like,
right?
This isn't fucking like owner money. This is wrestler money trying to put off a wrestler show. I can't back this shit on my own. I'm surviving on your name to fucking make sure we can get through this and I can pay the boys myself. This is what I'm living on, is your name." And fucking maybe me having any experience in making this work. And he was like, "Man, I'll see what I can do." And anyway, a few minutes goes by. He's like, "Man, like, even if I got in the car, there's no way I could get to you by time. I can't make it. I'll make it up to you. Like, I'll come in next time and I'll work for nothing. I'll work for peanuts. And I'll wait. You let me know when your next show is, and I'll make it up to you tenfold, man. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Great, cool. Like, I get it, Devon. Like, I get it. Cool, fine, stop." And he's like, "Oh man, I feel so bad. This never happened." I'm like, "Cool, like, I get it." He's like, No, but you got no idea." Like, "Man, look, I had to cancel a fucking like a car. I have to cancel a hotel. I had to cancel all this fucking shit and make an announcement about the fucking show. I don't have time to deal with your apologies. I'm sorry. Like, yes, we'll talk about it. I'll let you know when the next show is, but fuck off and leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I start calling
wow.
hotels and I start calling cars and I'm canceling shit. And I'm starting to talk to the boys. But at this point, like, he's supposed to get in at night. Like, it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So I'm kind of like, is there any way we can figure this out during the night? The stress goes by. Anyway, he keeps calling me as things are going on. I'm canceling hotels. I'm canceling calls, Chris. I'm canceling all this shit. So Devon keeps calling me every 5 minutes. Man, I'm trying to find, there's no new flights. I can't get a car. It's going to bring me in. I'm like, man, listen, so I'm in the back of the car when this is happening. I'm calling around. People are driving me around to kind of like let people know what's going on. People that are helping us out run the show about what's happening and how things are falling apart. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting kind of like, I'm dealing my own wheel and dealing on the phone. So I'm in the back seat and I got 2 of the guys in the front that are helping me kind of like wheel and deal. I get one of the calls. After the 3rd or 4th call, Devon calls me. I see his number pop up again the 3rd or 4th time. I don't even say, like, every single time I was like, yes, so hello, Mr. Dudley, hello, Mr. Whatever. By the 3rd or 4th time he calls me, I answer the phone with, man, you gotta fuck off and leave me alone and let me fix this fucking problem. And he was like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I'll make it up to you. Then we hangs up the phone. I just stop it. One of the guys in the front seat goes, Did you just tell Devon Dudley to go fuck himself? I suppose I did tell Devon Dudley to go fuck himself. What? We never did anything that night. I regretted not saying anything that night, but the biggest fear, and so we get to the show, we get to the afternoon of, and we let people into the venue. And when we start letting people in. All right, I'm gonna pour a drink for this one. There we go. Oh, I'm back. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Still here. So we let people into the venue, and usually you come in and there's like doors open and there's a little bit of time. You take 20, 30 minutes to let people kind of go around, buy some merchandise, buy some popcorn, some fucking hot dogs, whatever bullshit you're trying to make money off on a wrestling show. And about 20, 30 minutes go by, and usually we send out the ring announcer kind of talking about what's going to happen just to hype up the crowd. And my music cued, and I went out and I talked to the audience. And I didn't go out as Don Martini. I went out as Don Martin. I was still wearing the ring attire, but I went out and there's no wrestling voice. Most people get in the ring there. Listen, let me tell you, brother, or you got a tough voice, you get a tough tone. And everyone walks out like they're a fucking tough guy. And I just walked out and it was just hat in hand. And I told everybody that this was my show. I did this because I love wrestling. I always love wrestling, and I never want to not have a spot to wrestle. And I don't want people that love wrestling to not be able to go out and do a match, or people that want to watch wrestling to not be able to come out and watch a match. And that's why I'm here. That's why my money is on the line, and why most likely tonight is going to end up with me in the red and me not doing well. I'm really gonna take this on the chin and just gonna fuck up tonight. But this is what's happening. I basically told him exactly what happened, that Devon Dudley's not going to be here. And I said, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. Devon's not going to be here. But we're going to start the match. We're going to bring everybody out, and we're going to do a Royal Rumble right now. And the winner of the Royal Rumble will get, it was basically a title match later on that night. And if you want to, you can stick around. If you came here for Devon Dudley, you can leave and you can keep your ticket from tonight, and it will count as a ticket towards the next show. But we're going to come out and do a Royal Rumble right now, and that will lead into later on tonight, and you get a Royal Rumble for free. If you want to stick around and watch wrestlers do wrestling, do what they do because they love it, and stick around because we're going to give everything we have and break our fucking backs to give you a good show. This is a Rumble for you, and you can enjoy the rest of the show. If you just came here for Devon Dudley, this is a free Royal Rumble. Your ticket gets you to the next show, and I guarantee you'll get to see Devon, and we'll give you even more of the show to give it right back to you. And if you want to leave, you totally can, and you can just enjoy this Rumble. And I said, all right, I'm number one. Send out number two right now. And we did an entire locker room run through the entire locker room.
Oh, dude!
And we did a Royal Rumble. And after it was done, I said, all right, we're going to basically stop. This is our pre-show. We're going to do about 20 minutes. And then we're going to give people time to, if they want to go to the door and get their money back, if they want to basically leave and basically keep their ticket for the next show, you can do that. But this is basically it. So we'll give you some time and we'll come back with a show, and we're going to kill ourselves for you. And we love you. And we thank you for supporting wrestling. We went backstage, and up at the building we had, 2 people left. 2 people in the entire building left because they only wanted to see Devon. And I was backstage, and there was I was
that's when you cry. That's when you cry.
All I could think was like, I'm paying for this show, and I'm worried about paying my power bill next week because I don't know how this is gonna pan out. And one of the girls working the front door came in, and I was just shaking in my chair. And she came up, she gave me a tap on the shoulder, and I was like, "How bad is it?" She said, "Two people." And I started to cry. I really did. I broke down and I cried. I really cried. But it was it was a really powerful moment. It's people are there because they're wrestling fans. There's people that want to see a name and want to get an autograph. There's people that are wrestling fans that are here because they love the sport, they love what we do, and I love them for loving what we do.
And also Newfoundland too.
What the fuck else do they got to do, right?
But I mean, for all honesty, for anybody who has never been, I was there for 2010 or 2006 till 2012 is when I left. So 2006 to 2012, but I've never met the more nice, beautiful, wonderful people than I have in Newfoundland. Like, I mean, in general,
you should tell the audience how you left. Do you remember the day you left? You called me 3 times that day?
Maybe, but let's keep that for us. So we'll talk about it later.
Oh, fuck you. Tell him, you pussy.
I can't even remember until you got
I'll tell him. Okay, I'm telling him.
You tell right. my final days.
I'm going to out you. Fuck you. So, all right, I'm very big in the kink community. So, Bulldog was living in...
Yes, now I remember. I fucking remember. You go ahead. Keep talking.
So
keep talking.
You messaged me the day before you leave. I got this set of wooden stocks that I've made. Or actually, no, Bill made.
Billy made them.
Stocks that I had made that I got, but I can't take with me on the flight. So I'll tell you what, I'll sell them to you for $100. I said, man, I got $100. Fucking like I spent my money on weed. I'm not no money. I don't got no money left. You were like, oh, okay. Well, we can work out a layaway payment. I was like, no, I can't afford that. We're like, all right. About an hour went by. You called me back. I was like, tell you what, $40. I'll sell you this big set of wooden stocks for $40. I'll deliver it to you right now. I was like, man, it's not an issue of money. I just don't have it right now. I don't got the money for fucking buying bondage gear. And you were like, all right, cool. All right, well, enjoy your time. Enjoy Newfoundland. I got to leave. About an hour went by. You called me. You said, we're on the way to your house. It's a going away present. So that was actually the first piece of large wooden bondage equipment that I ever actually owned. Years later, I've bought now several larger pieces of bondage equipment. In the years since, I have become the Dungeon Master of Newfoundland. There was a St. John Sex Expo for 4 years.
Oh, that's great.
I was the Dungeon Master for the St. John Sex Expo, running it under the Grand Bazaar was the name of my dungeon. So, yeah, it was humble.
I was the first. I was the first.
I was doing it before you, but you know.
I know, but I mean, I was.
As far as the equipment goes, yes.
To you, my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
Now I remember it.
Possibly one of the best gifts I've ever been given. So yeah,
cheers to you, my friend. I've currently built my bed. I talk about it often. As I welded steel. You can hang people from this sucker, man. It like no problem, no questions asked. It's sturdy as fuck. This thing, I did a backflip onto it, and I'm like, I'm over 300 pounds, and I can do backflips onto this bed, and it doesn't even buckle. It's like it's magnificent.
I have a sex swing I bought, but I wasn't using the sex swing so much, so I put it in the garage and hung a heavy bag from it. So
it's still a great thing to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's got that offer. Yeah, absolutely.
So what I did during COVID, kind of like everything fell apart. So there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. I'm working from home, still making good money from my job. So I was like, well, fuck, me and the missus got to put something to good use. So all I did was basically buy omnibus comic books, and we bought a back bed and a fucking machine. So pretty much all we've been doing for the last 2 years.
I don't see a problem with that. It's absolutely. Can you hang on, my friend? Hey, I got to go top up. I have to go take a quick leak, and we'll continue this madness in just a second. I'm really enjoying this, brother. This is something else.
Or should you just gonna fuck off?
What's that?
I can keep talking if you want.
Sure, fill the gap. Let's see. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. And that was the first time I became the Heritage Champion of Cutting Edge Wrestling. Oh, Bulldog, you're back. Oh, it's great to see you, brother.
What did I miss?
Oh, nothing. How's life? How are you?
Oh, good. So, when was the first time you won a championship?
I won titles pretty. The first show I ever won. So I started off with the Cutting Edge Wrestling in the early aughts. The first time I won a title was after we did some bar shows shortly afterwards. We went down to the first time CW was at the Majestic Theater, actually, of all places where we originally came back to later in 2011. But in the early CW days, there was the North Atlantic title, was the heavyweight title. The Heritage title was our mid-card, or basically kind of like focused. Sailor Weight was brought in as the Heritage champion, and that was kind of like brought in as a prestigious title. And the undercard title for new kids, basically kind of like the. Oh, excuse me.
Well done.
That tasted like nuggets.
I tasted it.
So the undercard title was the Intercities title, the Intercities Championship. And I started off when I first joined. I went under the name Magnus, was my first name, and my best friend Chris was Diabolus, and we were the Fallen Angels. We were a gothy tag team. And one of the other guys that kind of started around he started training the same day as I did with my buddy Fred. He was 187, and he wasn't getting too pushed too well as either. So we figured, fuck it, let's have the three of us join together. We'll be a gothy heel stable, and we can try and use that to help ourselves get over. And we became the Fallen Angels. Mm-hmm. That happened for about 2 years. We didn't get too far. Newfoundland heel gimmick, gothy gimmick's not going to go over too well in Newfoundland.
Except for Bill.
We brought our gothy friends that showed up, loved us, which is actually a large part of the audience. But I mean, you can only get so far doing a gimmick that most of the wrestling crowd's not going to get over with or appreciate. Yeah. So we had a falling apart match, a TLC match for the Fallen Angels. And I did a couple of shows where I teamed up with one of the other bigger faces, and we went down to one of the bar shows at the Majestic. And the early Majestic shows, I beat. So my first title, I won the Intercities title from the Paragon of Virtue, Mike Burry, and I beat him for the Intercities title. At the time, he was also in a heel stable, a bigger heel stable that was better than me because I left the Fallen Angels and joined. I became face. So as opposed to the heel gimmick, it was PVC pants and red fishnet, more of a very Jeff Hardy kind of just jerking off alternative personality stuff to get over. And anyway, so I beat him for the Intercities title, and he attacked me after the match, and him and his tag partner started to rough me up. And one of the bigger faces came out to do the save. And the idea was that they make the challenge of, I tell you what, we'll put the tag titles on the line against you and your partner if you put the Intercities title back to me. So the same show that I won the Intercities title, I became tag champ with the guy that was going for the heavyweight title at the time. So we became tag champs, and I became a singles champion the same night.
Well, that's great.
So me, him, and another guy became a face tag team. We call ourselves the Flamboyant Vigilantes. That only goes so far. After a while, I was like, we should just change it and say we hail from San Francisco. We should just kind of like casually this is Quinn. Love you, Quinn. Just kind of like just casual, like love and support, but like it's bromance in a homosexual way. I was like, we should just lean into it. We should just go hard into it.
My God.
Maybe not. So
too early for that, but still.
Vigilantes and myself and Quentin, we became a heel tag team known as Supreme Greatness. And that was one of my favorite tag teams I ever worked in, is because it was the most heel I ever got to do. Like the earlier days when there was no talk of sponsors or anything like that. It was just wrestling money. There was never any kind of like there was no chance of us bringing in TV. We didn't have that possibility at the time. So we could just do whatever the fuck we wanted. So we just did the weirdest, darkest type of wrestling stories and angles you could ever imagine. So it was just we'll just heel for the sake of a heel and just pure unadulterated filth. It was fun. It was fun. I got to do a lot of weird, stupid angles.
Give us an example, like for like one of your favorite moments of that being.
Okay. Oh, I've got a favorite.
All right.
So we used to wrestle. This was during the EWE days, the later EWE days, when we stopped wrestling at Club Atomic, and we used to wrestle at the Masonic Theater, which is this is where the Masons go each week to have their meetings. But the Masons, I guess, aren't doing well enough to basically just have their own fucking cult meetings. So they got to rent the venue out as well. So they rented it to a wrestling promotion. So we showed up, and the idea was that I wasn't booking at the time, but I was kind of like I was in with the bookers. I was like, all right, it's a bar show, it's all ages show, but there's a bar in the room, so there's a wet area, and we can just do whatever we want. I mean, who's gonna say otherwise? The Masonic Temple's gonna fucking say that they don't want money. Fuck them. we're gonna take what we can get. So we went in. We started doing a feud. It was myself and High Fly Mike Sky. It's a buddy of mine, Mike. And he's a great break dancer. He's a great gymnast. He is truly, even beyond the idea of wrestling, he's just a true athlete. And he's one of the truest athletes I've ever seen. But here's the thing. I'll never forget the day he showed up to EWE. We brought him in the ring. We taught him to bump, taught him to do the ropes. And the second he went over towards the second rope, he was like, let me try something. And he just kind of walked towards the turnbuckle and just kind of jumped, hit the second rope, hit the third rope, and just did a moonsault and on his feet. But it was perfect. It was crisp. And I was like, all right, nobody tell that kid how good he is. Everyone looked at him and go, man, you got fucking miles to go before you sleep. Because the worst thing you can do is look at a kid that can do a backflip and go, oh, you're going to be the new fucking light heavyweight champion. Because that kid's going to have an ego. He's going to be a piece of shit. The second someone tells you did something good, you're basically going to stop getting good. A lot of guys do that. Not everyone, but a lot of guys do that. And that's kind of the way I would rather someone look at me and go, that was okay, but what can you do better? Because I always want to do better at the next
So did you walk up to that kid and say you're a bucket of shit, or was it just
so you know what? You got potential, but we'll see what you can do. We'll see what you can do.
There you go.
I got him in the ring. I put it in that arm bar. I started stretching him a little bit. Let me show what the industry is, kid. Anyway, no, I didn't. I wasn't a dickhead, but anyway, so me and Sky got into a feud. He had a valet X2C. I wonder if she liked Molly or not. Anyway, so her valet name was X2C. We got to pick all of our own names at the time. So
oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
So the idea that we went into was the feud was supposed to be myself and Mike Sky, but he's got the female valet, and the idea was that I was going to start banging his valet. So we start going in this back and forth. We did a fans bring the weapons match. We were the first time that ever happened in Newfoundland. Myself and Mike Sky were fans bring the weapons, and it became violent. It got really over the top. There was a fridge door. There was fluorescent light tubes and thumbtacks. Someone brought a circular saw, like it was a vacuum cleaner. Shit got weird. Like it got over the top, aggressive and violent. So we go out, we start doing the match. The idea is we get to the end of it, we start finishing off the match. But X2C comes out for the end and for the big finale. She goes, "No, stop, guys! You've got to stop. I'm pregnant." And that was the idea we set up. And the idea that's how we're going to get to is that she's been cheating on Mike with me. And we kind of got to build it up into promos for the next couple of shows over how the feud's going to play out. We can't want either of us to hurt each other. So the question is, who's the father of her child? Is it me or is it Mike Sky? And we start going on with this story, and X2C shows up to one show. She's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like it's getting so intricate and weird and like how aggressive. Like I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, well, guess what? If you're leaving the promotion, you got to do one last night because we got to end the storyline. You can do one show with us and we'll finish it off for good if that's how you feel, or we can adjust it how you feel comfortable. She was like, you know what? I think I'd rather just leave. I think I'd rather just be done. I'm like, you know what? That's perfectly fine. That's cool. Just do one last performance with us and that'll be perfectly fine. That'll be it. We'll call it quits. So me and Sky have our match and X2C comes out during the end. And the idea is that we have our match, but my promo beforehand, how I set it up, is that I proclaim that I am the father of X2C's child. It is my baby, I know, because my seed is so powerful that I know it's mine. So that I want to bring her out here. All right, so my original pitch, we had a previous manager that used to come out. He was the Reverend Jacob Clemens.
Oh dear.
I wanted to bring out with one hand. I wanted to bring out the Reverend Jacob Clemens, and in my jacket pocket, I wanted to bring out a coat hanger. I said, "You got to bring Ecstasy out here right now, because we're going to get married right here, or I'm going to finish this baby situation right here, right now."
Oh my God.
I pitched it, and she was like, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." I was like, "Okay. All right. Well, I can't threaten to abort her in the ring, I guess." So I'll tell you what. You come out during the match, and we'll try to have me versus Mike, and you come out to stop us. And when I go to put him into a corner, I'm going to push him back at the end of the match. You try to get in front of me, and that was the idea. So we go out to do the match. So we get to our spot, and I put Mike, I blast him up, I really blow him up. I put him in the corner, and I get him like I'm going to build up a full head of steam to run at him. And X2C runs out, stands in front of Mike in the corner, and says, no, Magnus, don't, please don't. And I go to fucking dive in. Stop, I can't do it. And I double back, and I go to dive at her. But when I actually go to dive, she moves, and Sky moves. So when Sky moves, I hit the corner, and I start to sell. And Sky comes back, he doubles around, he gets the other side of the ring, and now he's going to do the same thing to me. So he goes to run at me, and when he runs in, I grab her by the shoulders, and I pull her in front of me. So he shoulders her right in the guts, and I fall down with her. I go, don't move. So she hits the ground. So Sky just out, oh my God. So I get up and start just bail out of the ring and yell, oh my God, Mike, you killed the baby. How could you do it? She was pregnant. So fucking the audience is like I said, kids are going to these shows. Adults. The audience is laughing hysterically. Like it's the funniest thing they've ever seen.
Wow.
I'm cackling, and Mike is just kind of like holding her shoulders to the mat. Go with it. Please sell it. I beg you to please sell it. And he's kind of like, oh God, why, my poor baby. So I'm getting ready to leave. I'm like, you know what? Not good enough. We can still do this abortion darker. So I go out to the ring and I pull out a steel chair. This actually, I talked to Mike. And I told him about the plan for pulling her in front for the fake abortion angle. This one I just kind of pulled on the fly. I dig under the ring and I pull out a steel chair and I dive back in. I blast Mike across the back and he sells the chair shot. And she's laying there on the mat with her chest up. And as she's laying there, I grab the steel chair. I just yell, well, I got something to say. I just chair shot across the stomach. I killed your baby today, and it doesn't matter much to me as long as it's dead. Misfits reference, abortion angle.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was probably the darkest angle I've done in wrestling. Yeah.
Oh. And the first question was, what championships did you win? And we ended up here.
Question. And
the
then you
first one.
And I told you about abortion.
It got down to that. Oh, it's beautiful. Wonderful. You're still currently a champion, right? The longest running.
I am currently. So
thus far, and that's the gold above your
Yeah, so I am the Cutting Edge Wrestling North Atlantic champion. It took me 11 years. Actually, no, sorry, 13 years from when I first joined CEW in the year 2000. From when I finally won the North Atlantic title, when CEW came back in 2011, and 2 years later, I won the North Atlantic. Since then, I've held it 3 times. This is my 3rd title reign for the North Atlantic. The 2nd title reign became the longest title reign that's ever happened. So I held it for about 1,200 days straight. Yeah. So I held it for quite some time. It is the longest reigning North Atlantic title in history. It's beaten Sailor White and every other holder of every title in Newfoundland Wrestling. So I'm the longest reigning heavyweight champion in Newfoundland. I have it a 3rd time now. With the 3rd title reign, I've gotten a different award now of the total number of days. There was the person I told you that originally ran CEW, Vince Austin, held the title 6 times and held it over about 1,500 days or so over the course of a decade or two.
But that's 6 times.
And that's it. Well, that's it, over 6 title reigns. I beat that record by the time I held it twice, and now I'm at a 3rd title reign. So now I guess I don't know. Like I kind of want to lose the title to see if I can beat 6, but who wants to lose the title? Anyway,
yeah, of course, right?
I look forward to getting a chance to see CW come back because, to be honest, NEW is where the money is right now in Newfoundland Wrestling of what's activity, of what's happening. And I'm happy to be the NEW Tag Team Champion currently on my other shoulder. So we've had that now for about 1.5 years, myself and Zach Youngblood as the Tinge of Ginge. He's another young ginger. He's a young ginger like myself. So
oh no,
little Tinge of Ginge. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
We won it at so every year right before New Year's. It's been year 1, year 2, year 3. So year 4 was the anniversary show of when NEW kind of had their anniversary show. We opened the show with, as opposed to a TLC match, a DLC. So I don't know if you're aware of how much money wood has changed during the cost of COVID.
Yes,
so
I work in. I also do IATSE, so I'm very well versed in how much it went up. It's ridiculous. It's gone down now, but I believe like 3/8 or like 3/8 plywood was up to like $60 a sheet or something.
And I stand by it. I think we'll never go back to normal prices again.
It's gone back down. It has.
It's going down, but I don't think it'll ever get back to where it was. I think greed's gonna pan out. So the idea was, this was the last show we did before COVID really hit, and basically cut down the guidelines of how many we could have in the building, whether we could perform at all. So it was the last big show that we had before it, but prices have kind of started to change a little bit. So the price of tables, so basically of wood for tables, was so much, we changed over into DLC. So we buy doors. So we bought doors and put them on table legs.
What was better? What was better? What was better going through, doors or table?
I'll take a fucking door any day of the week.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably because there's not a lot. It's like balsa wood, really.
Oh yeah, just turns to powder. Just
it's like it's nowhere near. I bet you. Does it look better? Like if you were to like,
funnier. It's funnier. That was my favorite part, though. Was like, man, like we're saving like $20 a table. Of course,
$20 a table, and it looks hilarious. Fuck, why would
exactly.
why weren't we doing this to begin with?
That was my favorite part. So I had one spot I wanted to do. I thought it'd be a funny idea. Basically, like two guys pushed me off the ropes, and they grabbed the door to go to run at me. And I thought it would be funny if I could basically like come back at them and just put two fists through it and basically just like fist my way through a door. So when I did it, I forgot that the show beforehand, I had broken a knuckle on my hand.
Oh, no.
You just tape two fingers together and you go back to work the next day. So I did it, but I just punched through the door and I came back after the match and just two fingers were black. I was like, crap, I got both of them.
That's hilarious.
How would you about an actual fucking table?
Well, how would you describe your style? If you like, since we're talking old wrestling, well, if I was to say, Dirty Don, how would you describe your style as wrestling?
When I was young, it was more high fly. 20 years ago, it was all high fly. I was young, I was fit, I was in shape. And here's the thing: at the time, the only thing that got me over was because I had charisma. Even because of my height and my weight, even because I was in shape, I wouldn't have had the opportunities to keep going with wrestling. It's only because I was so charismatic. I had so much ability of basically just being physical and having that level that I could own the audience. And that got me over, and that kept me there for years. And then after a while, even though I've only ever been 5'7", I'm not a tall guy. I mean, I'm at the biggest I've ever been now, which is about 235. When I first joined wrestling, I was about $170. So, I mean, like I've never been too big, but you got to go with what you got. You got to probably go with what brought you to the game. So even having some weight on right now, I still have psychology. And that's the idea of basically I've got psychology, I've got charisma, and beyond that is just pure aggression and violence. The idea of one of my favorite examples is Steve Austin. Steve Austin is a great technical wrestler, but the idea of how he wrestles, you can watch a Steve Austin match for 10 minutes, and 6 minutes of that match is going to be him just how he does those wild baseball swings. And he's not stiffing anybody. He's not super aggressive. He just looks violent.
But it's got the look. But it's the look. It's his look, and the way, and it's on. You could be like colorblind, but the way that he continuously does.
I have to take my antidepressant. Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
No, don't worry. All right, we're good.
But you can be colorblind or just see the shadows. But you see somebody doing what he does and stomping that mud hole, you realize that's Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Yeah. Is that what? So that's what you're like. You have that ability to be like, when people watch this wrestling match, this is Don Martini sitting up here doing this.
Yeah, and it's having certain favorite setup moves as well. I mean, like you can really go through an entire career of wrestling by I've got 3 or 4 favorite moves and a finisher. And beyond, you add that into, know how to do chain, know how to basically know your psychology, and throw in a submission or two, you're golden. That's a career. That really is a career. So one of my favorite just regular moves that I've always done is the Russian leg sweep. I love the Russian leg sweep like no other move whatsoever. So I used to wrestle one of the guys, Jason Burry. This was back when the EWE days at the Masonic Temple. And he loved to do the Russian leg sweep. So I said, you know what? Let's just go out and do a match. And let's just do chain wrestling. And whenever one of us wins the chain wrestling spot, they hit a Russian leg sweep. And we get up and go right back into it. So me and Burry just kept doing it in the entire match. So but the audience caught on what we were doing. So everything ends with a Russian leg sweep. So we get to 4 or 5 fucking Russian leg sweeps, and one person in the audience stops us, 5 Russian leg sweeps. And I looked at Burry, I was like, we're doing this for 10 more minutes. We got to the finale, we got to 13 Russian leg sweeps. I was like, stay down, go with it. This is our new finish.
It's like when you get
we did chain wrestling and Russian leg sweeps.
But but it's so brilliant because the audience jumps in on it as well. And they're like, they be that like bashing a head off of a turnbuckle in an empty stadium doesn't mean anything. But when you count up to like 5, 6, 7, you start hearing that and you're amped up and you can stop, look, and then boom, 10, and then everybody cheers, right?
And this is exactly it. Let me look at the most simplistic thing that most people every person has seen in wrestling. The good guy puts the bad guy in the corner. He goes to the second rope and the fist goes up and he starts punching down, and everybody in the building, 1, 2, 3. He's wasting time. We all know what's happening. We all know it's horseshit, but it's just the involvement of everybody in the building counting along with it. You feel more involved. You feel there. It's manipulation. It's exactly what it is. But it's art.
It's theater. It is theater in its most primitive, beautiful state. Because it's the crowd being involved. There's Antoine Artaud wrote a thing called Theater of Cruelty, and his concept is that when you go to a show, you have to have sort of a religious experience. There's a moment of you going like, when I leave this place, it is more different than when I first came in. And truly, obviously, what you're doing there, doing the wrestling thing, my God, you have a beautiful kitchen.
Oh, thank you.
Holy shit. I haven't been to your place. When I dropped off the stocks, you're living up on top of that house on down, what fuck street was
I was on
that?
Burns at the time.
Yeah, it was.
Since then, I went offshore and I bought a house. And I tore it down and I built a new house. So I built this house.
That's your house that you built?
This is my house.
Not only, ladies, he's a carpenter and a wrestler, dashingly good looking, and I
have a girlfriend, but also polyamorous, so I fuck.
Polyamorous, you like to fuck.
I'd be fucking.
Yeah.
I ran to Jameson, so I'm on the jack. Actually, I should stop saying brands because if they're not paying me, fuck them.
Jamie, your friend, and Jack, the other friend. There you go. You didn't specify last names or what have you. We're still good on the old. Yeah,
I'm back.
Selling things. Oh fuck! Have you ever been trying to be? Has any like big promos gone and tried to scalp you? Like the WWF heard tell of this lone Gingy up in Canada and was like, Vinnie Mac has shown up
further than Newfoundland. I left Newfoundland once.
Oh, what? You mentioned this earlier. I guess this is a good time to say.
All right, yeah, let's segue into that. So this was at the end of the CW days. I got an offer to go to Nova Scotia. There was a guy, Sledgehammer Spike, and one of the local guys and some other promoter that was kind of the money mark for it all. They kind of was putting this promotion together. They said, we're going to bring in wrestlers from all over Canada and bring in this big tour in Nova Scotia. So I was still Intercities champion at CW at the time, my first title reign. And I got an offer. They said, we're going to fly you out. We're going to bring you out. You buy the tickets. You get here. You give us the receipt for it. We'll reimburse you for it. We'll pay you good for the tour. We'll put you up and all that type of shit. And I was like, fuck yeah, you'll put me up. All right, sweet. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So it was at the time.
I'll be there. I'm like Bubba Ray Dudley, you motherfucker.
I know Bubba Ray Dudley. Go fuck yourself. This was years before that. So this was early CW days. I didn't know anybody. Vance, Nevada hadn't taught me psychology yet. I mean, actually, no. Right around, that was the same year, actually. It was the same year that someone taught me psychology. So I shouldn't have been fucking brought in for anything. But I still had charisma, and I was still, I don't know. I don't know how I got.
You had the
I've been very
thing.
lucky.
You had a
I've been very lucky
thing,
as far as
man.
the business goes.
You had
Anyway,
the
so
thing.
they brought me in. I try fucking stay humble. This is all the fucking industry is. Stay humble with what you are. I know what I do, and I know I do it well. But god damn it, I can always do it better. Anyone says they can't do it better isn't fucking trying hard enough. So anyway, I'll get back to my stupid bullshit stories. So the day before my 19th birthday, I got brought to a strip club by a bunch of friends, and absolutely polluted, loaded. Later that night, I had to get on a plane to go to Halifax to do the tour. I had a buddy of mine drop me off. And I'll never forget, I came home and I got went into my parents' house. My parents had my bag, my duffel bag. They're gonna bring me to the airport. I come in, my mother looks at me and I sit down at the table. She's like, "Do you want a coffee?" I said, "Yeah, I want a coffee." She's like, "You smell like whiskey and stripper ass." And I was like, "How did she know? How did she know?"
Well, the strippers do use a lot of perfume, Don. Like, to be honest. I remember I worked at the bar where you wrestled, where you took that, we got your bumps there. And I know a thing or two about stripper ass and other ways.
How did my
as
mother
well.
know? She knew what this was. Anyway, so I get on the fucking plane. I lost my passport in my pocket twice trying to get on the plane. They bring me in, and here's the thing that they said they paid for me to come in. I bought my own plane ticket. They reimbursed me there. I get off the airplane, and like the second the plane takes off, before I get there, the second the plane takes off, the altitude hits, and the booze still in me. I was just like, just blacked out immediately, just dropped. So I wake up, and the plane is landing. I'm just, oh god, oh what's happening? Where am I? And I fucking get off the plane, and I'm kind of like, grab my luggage, and I'm sitting on my suitcase, and I realize I never arranged anything with this fucking province, with this promotion. Like, I don't know who I'm staying with. They said they'd take care of me. So I just got a suitcase and a duffel bag. And I'm sitting on my suitcase and I'm looking around, hungover, and I smell like ass and tits. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't even know where to go. Like, what do I do? And there's one guy there wearing a three-piece suit, and there's a guy next to him that's wearing a tank top and a pair of ratty fucking denim shorts with a mohawk. And I'm like, I've never seen fucking people from a wrestling promotion more in my entire life. You are here for me. And I walk up and they go, "You're Magnus?" I said, "I nailed it. Knew it. I'm Magnus. Take me somewhere." All right.
Take me in place where booze can enter my system so I don't feel the way I
do. What do I smell like? What do I smell like? So,
yeah, see if they do. Huh, mother?
So we go in, we do the first show. So the guy that's wearing has the mohawk and the ratty clothes, his name is Dice. Is the name of the wrestler. He's a local wrestler in Montreal, in Halifax, and I'm gonna stay with him. He's my billet brother that I'm gonna live with for the weekend. He didn't tell his girlfriend. They don't got any kids or anything, but he didn't tell his girlfriend who lives with him that they were gonna have a wrestler from Newfoundland stay with him. She was not pleased. So Dice would just leave at times. Like, I'm gonna go wash the laundry, and I had like they were living in a building, so like we had to go downstairs to go to the fucking laundry room. So he'd just leave, and she'd just sit at the kitchen table and just stare at me. It was like I didn't know I was ruining your weekend, Mrs. I'm just here to wrestle. I'm just some kid. Help me out. Like, can I borrow a towel? What am I doing?
Yes.
Anyway, so we get to the first show, and the first show, I told you the character of Vince Austin, and the character of Vince Austin, his real name is Gord Glenn. And I'll deviate for a second back to the origins of me getting involved in wrestling. This is something I didn't know. The owner of CW back in the day, Gord Glenn, Vince Austin, is actually related to me. He's outside of the family. My uncle's basically had an affair outside of his original marriage, and he had a child, and he actually turned away his own child. So this is actually this is a very uncomfortable type of topic. So the fact that I'm talking about it shouldn't be happening. I'm not going to blame the alcohol, but it's probably uncomfortable that I'm talking about it.
If need be, I and again, this goes for everybody, but if there's anything that you say that wants to be like, I'll cut shit. But if you want to continue,
I don't feel that's necessary, because you know what? I don't feel this is anything against Gord. I feel if anything, this is against my uncle, because I mean he actually showed up to my uncle's doorstep one day and said, "This is who I am. This is whose son I am," and my uncle turned him away. That's a horrible thing to do to a person. I mean, like it's one thing to look at a woman and say that you're like, "I'm pregnant," and walk away from her. it's another thing to see you have that child come to you 20 years, 25 years later and say, I'm your son, and turn that person away too. That says a lot about your character as a person. So you know what? And this is one of the when I first started with CW, Gord was the owner, and Gord is actually my cousin. He's actually related to me by blood as my cousin. But I didn't realize this. It took me a while to realize who he was, and by the time I found out who he was to my family, a couple of months had gone by, and he actually found out who I was. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I think I'm starting to sound like like anyway. Never mind.
We can wrap this up soon, but I mean, like,
all right, cool. Well, anyway, we'll get to it.
We'll tell your stories, but if your throat's getting bad, we'll call it.
I'm fine. So anyway, Gord found out who I was. Once he found out who I was, I had an Inner Cities title shot the very next show. I was like, oh, sweet, I'm in with the owner. but no, and as soon as that happened, the first thing I said was, if I'm in the contendership for it, take me away from it. I never want anyone to think that I'm doing what I do or I get what I get because I'm related to somebody or because I've done a favor for somebody. I want to do what I do because of my own merits. And that's all I ever want to do it on. And if anyone will think otherwise of it, that I don't need titles. I don't need titles to get you over. Titles mean nothing. If you can't get yourself over, you should be wrestling in the fucking first place. If you need a title to get you over, you're not a wrestler. Anyway, so one of the other guys that was doing the Halifax tour, the third person was Gord. So when they brought me in, the first night I worked, I wrestled Gord as Vince Austin. And we went out and we just swung for the fences. So we were kind of like this like hockey arena. And as soon as we walked, there's no like black curtain or nothing like that. You just walk out like the fucking goalies walking out, like the hockey teams walking out. That's how we walked out. Yeah. And I walked out first, and I walked out. I was just young, arrogant, cocky heel. I did my shit and flipped off the audience. The second Gord's music hit, Gord walks out, and as soon as he walks through that fucking that hockey door, I just steel chair to the face. Fuck you before you can get in the ring. And it's kind of like, oh, that's small. You know, if you're gonna wrestle a guy that's got some size to him, you gotta get over with some heel nonsense. So we basically wrestled for 10 minutes on the outside of the ring and just went super aggressive, just super violent. And like most of the guys in Halifax and the audience, I mean, we were still later in the show. You're not gonna open the show with some hardcore shit. I mean, like you gotta build up to it like that. You gotta make that kind of shit mean something. But we've been so aggressive in the later part of the show that the audience fucking adored it. The idea of me being fucking small meant nothing just because of how violent and how aggressive I was when I was, just because my punches aren't actually anything. Once I get on top, start raining down. Yeah. I'm raining down fury. I'm raining down hellfire. So it's perfectly fine. So we finished the match. It was the best time I was ever paid because we got backstage and when I got in the locker room at the start of the show, nobody gave a fuck about who I was. No one knew who I was. No one knew my name. I was shaking hands. I was fucking kissing asses. Thank you, sir.
But even then, everybody's kind of like,
respecting the industry. And the second I came back from that match, I walked back and there was 6 guys ready. As soon as I walked through the door, they started to shake my hand. It's like, oh, good to meet you, man. Oh, it's like I said hello to you 3 hours ago. They're like, yep, good to meet you, man. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm here now. But I got called up into the office and the upstairs of the building. And the main promoter, the money mark for the promotion, called me and was like, man, you and Gore went out and fucking busted your asses. You really went hard. You really went nuts. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, we did. We really took advantage of it. And he was like, all right, so tell you what, I'll give you $100 tonight. If you can do what you do tomorrow, I'll give you double. I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can pretend I'm swinging fists tomorrow night. Absolutely.
Yeah, ding, motherfucker.
I'll give my receipt to you for the fucking the plane ride. He was like, oh, I'll bring it tomorrow night. I was like, oh, sweet. This sounds great. This sounds fantastic. So second night comes around. When we get to the second night, we get halfway there. So I'm trying to figure out who I'm working. I worked one of the promoters from was it MSPW or whatever. It was a Nova Scotia Wrestling Promotion, something along those lines. But it was the main promoter for that. And I remember I sent him my promo video, my promo tape a year or so before, and he shut me down. He said he didn't want me to come in for his promotion. He wouldn't bring me in. And I was like, all right, that's fair. I'm still pretty young, still pretty new. That's understandable. But they booked me against him in the second match, and I went out and I fed into him. I really put him over as a heel. I really kind of sold myself up as kind of like I was heel the night before. I was face the next night. Fucking wrestling fans don't give a shit. Nothing means anything. Anyway, so I sold it up. I put him over huge. And by the time the match was over, he was like, you know what? It was a really good match. Let's talk again about you coming in some other time. I was like, oh, cool. So I got my foot in the door and that kind of shit. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. This is a good tour. This is panning out for me. I got to
Yeah,
wrestle somebody I know. I'm getting paid good money. I'm going to
Another
get fucking paid
place.
double tonight for a guy that didn't like me, but now he respects me. I'm going to get booking from this. This is more money. This is going to be fucking great for me. And then I went up, started looking around. I was like, man, where's the promoter? Where's the guy from the night before with the cash box who usually takes care of us? So buddy with the cash box got to intermission, and he just grabbed the cash box and he fucking ran away with it. So dude just bolted. So now everyone's looking around for the rest of the show, like, what are we doing? Who's gonna pay us now? Nobody, because the money mark is gone. He's got the cash box with him. So who's paying us? What's gonna happen? And everyone's kind of like starts falling apart. Like, we're not getting paid. Fuck this show. I'm not going out to do anything. I'm not getting paid. So most of the rest of the Nova Scotia guys were just like, they just walked away. They wouldn't do it. So I'll never forget. The end of the show, they got towards the main event, and it was Gord and one of the guys, Sledgehammer Spike, was the other promoter. And Sledgehammer Spike, and they went out and had this big hardcore match, and they fucking bladed and juiced all over each other. And the idea was that when they finished it up, me and a bunch of the Nova Scotia workers and a few other guys that were brought in, knowing that we weren't getting paid, all just kind of looking around going like, how are we getting money? Well, I'll never forget the guy that I wrestled, Devin Shiddick. He was the promoter for the Nova Scotia promotion. He walks by, he's got 2 cases of drinks and 2 big boxes of fucking like Halloween chips and basically like a sleeve of candy. And he's walking by with all this in his arms. He's like, Magnus, we're not getting paid. Take whatever you can from the canteen. And he's just walking by, carrying it at all. So I actually have a picture from that night. By the time I got to the canteen, all the other wrestlers had picked it clean. I had 2 bags of chips, 2 cans of Pepsi, and a roll of Spree candy. And that's what I got paid for my second night because the promoter didn't show up or fucked off with the cash box. They really tried to find him. They called fucking like hospitals and stuff. They tried to find family, but dude just took the money and ran.
Fucked off.
So, yeah. So we get to the third day. It was supposed to be a third show. Was the final show of the tour on a Sunday. And all the Nova Scotia guys and most of the indie guys basically show up, but they said, fuck this, like, we're not getting paid. We know the promoter's gone. There's no money left. All we got is the money on the door. It's not going to cover all the wrestlers. I'm not fucking wrestling. So they all said no, but they sat in the audience. So they started looking around. They said, who's going to wrestle? And I sat there. I was like, I'm from Newfoundland. Nobody knows me. I got nothing to worry about. I got 3 cans of beer in my ring attire. That's all I got.
Don't stab me here, but I'll go. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's make this fucking show happen. So I agreed to do the show anyway, and I'll never forget. Sledgehammer Spike was, and anyone who knows Newfoundland Wrestling is probably gonna look at me and go, "That guy's a piece of shit." I'm gonna go, "That guy's a piece of shit." Anyway, the entire show day is the ring's being set up, and I go to Sledge and I go, "Man, like, you gotta like tell me what's going on. Who am I working? You gotta give me somebody to work." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll let you know what happens." I said, "Man, we tried that yesterday. And you told me I was working Devin 20 minutes before. 20 minutes to work a match. I mean, I could do it. I can do it now and do it comfortably. 18, 19 years ago, that wasn't comfortable to do. I'd like to have at least 20 minutes to go over a match type of thing." Anyway,
how long would it take you now, do you figure? Just on a side note.
I wouldn't need it. If you put me in the ring right now against anybody and you basically said go 12 minutes, I don't need you to say a thing.
That's amazing.
I'll work it out in the ring.
So cool.
You tell me I gotta go. You tell me I gotta go 20, 25. Give me 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes.
Yeah, but
give me 20 minutes and give me 2 in the ring. That's what I want. Give me 2.
Well, well, good. You know, like, it just shows the artistry. It just shows like your commitment and devotion to the art, right? That's just it's a really neat skill to be able to be like, I bet you know what? I just on a side note, I think that if you went up against any WWF wrestler, I think you would do just as well. Because I still kind of follow stuff.
I'd be a great jobber.
Yeah.
It's because I can feed into anything. I know exactly what, the second that you tell me one word, I know what we're going to do for the next minute. And I'll feed into that, and I'll make you look like $1 million. But I'm 5'7". I'm not in shape anymore. Yeah, but I can make anybody look like $1 million. You keep me local. I'm a great big fish in a small pond, but I'm a great bottom feeder fish in a big pond. I can make anybody that you got look like $1 million.
Oh, that's wicked. Anyway, we'll get back to your story there. I'm intrigued on what is about to occur. So your 3 day, just to recap, you're 3 days into your trip to Nova Scotia. The promoter fucked off on the second day with All your money.
Every last penny.
Every last penny.
Oh wait, I forgot to mention
away.
the night before. So I got billeted with somebody else on Saturday night, the second night. So the plan was after the second show, we were gonna go up and meet up with all the other wrestlers to go get fucked up somewhere. But the person they moved me over to get billeted with, the person I got moved in with, I don't know if he was a wrestler or just some guy that helped with the ring or not, but dude was a crackhead. So like I got billed with this guy. I'm sleeping on his couch. I was like, all right, so how do we get there? Like, are we gonna get a cab or something, or get a bus? We're gonna meet up people at the bar or something. He was like, yeah, we'll do that in like an hour or two. I just got something to take care of. And dude goes into his bathroom and starts smoking crack until he passed out. I'll never forget. I was kind of like knocking on the door, like, where do I go? Like, I don't give a fuck if you're not leaving, but how the fuck do I go to where I'm supposed to be? And I fucking busted the door open, and he's just lying there in the toilet, just cracked out of his fucking mind. His eyes roll back in his head. I'm like, I don't even know what like, I've never been to this province before. I don't know where I am right now. I don't know. I'm too young and naive to take care of myself. I didn't bring a towel with me. And now I'm staying at a crackhead's house. What is happening right now?
Oh God. All right. Just recap.
So we get to the third day of the wrestling show. They're like, who wants to wrestle? I'm like,
me.
Can I make $30-$40? I'll wrestle for $30-$40. I'll take whatever you can fucking give me. So anyway,
I have to buy a rowboat to get home. Fuck. Oh my God.
So
Continue.
Get to the wrestling show, and I started ragging on Sledge. I'm like, man, you gotta tell me who the fuck I'm working with. He's like, all right, don't worry about it, Magus. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell you who you're working with right now. I'll tell you about. And I can tell, like, he's rubbing his knees while he's sat down. He's looking around. It's like, this is the most anxious behavior I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, he's making this up on the fly as he's looking around. Like, he'd look at a janitor and go, you're working with Jim the janitor. His finisher's a mop. That's what his gimmick is. But no, so fucking Sledge kind of stopped. He goes, all right, I got this kid for you. His name is Chrome. I said, Chrome? I said, what the fuck is Chrome? He said, oh, I got this kid Chrome. He's a good athlete. You're a wrestler. Chrome. You're gonna do it in the third match. You're gonna defend your title, your inner city's title, and you're gonna go over. And you and Chrome are gonna have a great match. I said, all right. I said, I suppose me and Chrome will go out and have a fucking burner, I guess. See what fucking happens about this. See how it's gonna play out. So I start looking around the venue. I'm trying to find out, and one guy walks up, and he just looks like some jag off of the bar that would wear fucking like sunglasses at night. Like, he's not a muscular guy. It does not look like I don't have a wrestler's mentality or a wrestler's physicality. He most certainly does not. Either way, this guy walks up. He goes, "All right, I'm Chrome, but the first thing I gotta tell you, I gotta apologize to you, is I'm super green. I'm inexperienced. I don't know what I'm doing." I said, "This is like, I'm not getting paid well for yesterday or today. And the first thing you're going to do is look me dead in the eye and say, sorry, I'm green. We're not doing nothing. I'm going to hold an armbar on you for 8 minutes, and then you're going to eat a finisher, and we're going the fuck home." He was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I get it. I appreciate it. About 10 minutes goes by. He walks up. He goes, "Man, I tell you, sorry, this is my moveset. So I do power bombs. I do pile drivers. And my big move is I do the Pearl River Plunge because I like Simon Johnson." I was like, "Okay, cool. That's your moves, are you?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I'll tell you what, you do your first thing, you do your first move, and we do back and forth, and then I'll grab you and I'll hit a power bomb. I said, "Yeah, let's do that. Tell you what, let's do that." And he was like, "Oh, cool. Well, this sounds great." We walk into the match. Well, as soon as we get in, I basically build this big match back and forth with him about what we're gonna do. And the second we go out and do our entrance, on the third show I'm face. I was face and then heel and then face because none of this ever really matters. So I walk out, I do my face entrance, and Chrome walks out. And the second Chrome walks out, he's getting ready to walk in like he's doing where a big built-in entrance. And as soon as he walks in, I just punch him right in the fucking mouth as hard as I can. And I put him to the floor. I picked him back up, grabbed him by a headlock, and I said, "We're fucking chaining. Like, we're going with this. We're not taking bumps. Either go with it or not. But this is what's gonna happen." The idea of fucking, I'm green, but I can give you power bombs and pile drivers. No, you fucking can't. I'm gonna fucking stretch you for 10 minutes, and we're taking this home. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna do some back and forth chain. I'll feed some shit into you. I'll make you look good as best I can. But beyond that, fuck this. Anyway, I made him look as good as best I can. I gave him a little bit of fucking fist knowledge. And I like to think I came out of that not being an asshole, but still being treated with some respect like I could have been, like I should have been.
Well, like, Jesus, it's the green people that'll probably hurt you.
Well, that's it though. I mean, like if you're green, if you're gonna walk up to me and look me dead in the face and go, I'm green, I don't know what I'm doing. If the next thing you say to me is I do power bombs and pile drivers, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking mouth.
No, it doesn't make sense.
You're putting my life at risk.
Well,
I
yeah,
go home on a plane
absolutely.
tomorrow, and then I go work in a fucking factory and lift boxes or some
Fish
shit.
factory,
Like,
right?
Exactly. Like, I gotta make my fucking life work too.
Like,
the
please
idea that
don't.
you're gonna hurt somebody because you think you know how to do a power bomb? Nah, not a fucking chance. Not a fucking chance.
No. And bodies are different than you, like, because like you can lift a lot of weights in a gym, but all of a sudden you're up 225 pounds. It's on your face, like wrestling. Because I've wrestled, like I've done like wrestling, also martial arts too, right? Like, and like the concept of like it wears you out a lot more with somebody else because it's weights don't move. You can do easily do a half-hour heavy duty workout, but going in on like into you're tired in the first 5 minutes.
I wear a Fitbit. I wore it during the last wrestling match. It told me I was having a fucking heart attack.
911 called. You're like, oops.
Worst part is, the next weekend I did a couple of rips. Told me the same thing. I'm like, God damn it, I'm always dying.
Maybe it's the heart attack, Don. Maybe I
should stop eating red meat.
Maybe I should stop
eating fucking skin chicken breasts and some ragu. I mean, I do, but shit, more.
You know what, man? I think I'm going to end this here just because.
Pussy.
Well, no, I mean,
I'm just shit with you, man.
I think you are. This is going to be one of the longest of the Bulldog experiences that has happened in a very long time. I think you're up right so far. You are definitely the longest because I don't even know what time it is, but it's just nice.
It has been a while. I get it.
It is.
I would like to say thank you for having me on, and it just does well. If this is a good podcast, I'd love to come back. But I thank you very much for having me on.
Well, thank you. And before we leave, is there anything you want to like as a wrestler? Is there a promotion? Your like YouTube, Facebook, Tinder, what have you? Like fucking let me know. Yeah, as the saying goes, the floor is yours, my friend.
I don't know. I got nothing going on. Here's the thing. Let me be honest. Here's the thing. Titles mean nothing. Titles mean nothing because wrestling is fake. But you got to do what you do because you love it. Do what you do because you love it. If you're not happy, maybe keep doing what you're doing because what you love might also not pay you to fucking live. So find something that makes you happy and also find something that pays you enough to survive. And hopefully what you do that makes you happy will compensate enough at some point in your life to make you happy forever. I don't know. That's kind of like a shitty words of wisdom, isn't it? It's kind of depressing. I don't know. Fuck you, pay me? Wait. No.
Next time I'm up, I'll get you a bottle.
Get ready to see my dick. Oh.
No, not that. No, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dirty Don Martini, for joining me on this. And now we're ending it. Have a good night. Cutting.
Wow, what an act. Oh, that was great. It really was. Thank you, Don, for taking time out of your day and to sit down and trip the light fantastic on old style wrestling stuff out of Newfoundland. There's some stories there, wasn't there, children? Woohoo! Anyway, if you stuck around this long, thank you for joining me. Tune in next week for some more of the Bulldog experience. You can find me at everything Bulldog 666999. Patreon. I'm there. If you want to buy me a coffee, that'd be great. Or, just make sure my cup's full. So, I guess on that note, to you all, thank you for coming. Again, score. Keep on trucking.